After beating Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham, Arsenal and Chelsea already this season, and now looking like they're going to finish inside the top 6 for a second season in a row, should Leicester City now be considered part of the so-called Big Six, and who should they replace? We're going to break down for you today on Over the Line Football. Welcome back and make sure to subscribe. This conversation we wanted to have comes directly off the back of Leicester's 3-1 win over Liverpool at the King Power on Saturday morning. It's nothing new, as we just said, for Leicester. They've beaten Liverpool, City, Tottenham, Arsenal and Chelsea, to name a few already this season, and they drew with Manchester United, so they've shown that they can get points against top sides. What is it about them that means that they play so well in these sort of games?
I 100% could not tell you in the slightest. I think that I've just believe Brendan Rodgers attacks a certain way against the top 6 clubs that no other manager has confidence to do. I think the teams that you've mentioned there, like the Big Sixes, the fact that they've come and at least got at least a point against every single one of those teams, only really
lost at Anfield is the main loss really, but
they beat him.
At the King Power, so they're picking up results against the Big Six. Maybe it's against the smaller teams that they're struggling at the moment.
Well, it's got to be in it, because I don't understand how they're this little further behind. I mean, just to start the season when they beat you 5-2, that ridiculous game. That's when I thought, oh, that's it for Man City. The season's over already.
Well, after the second game.
Yeah, but you've got to think. I mean, on this list here, Leicester have won the title more recently than Arsenal, Tottenham, some of those Big Six teams already, for one, and they played Champions League football more recently as well. So if you're trying to say that Leicester aren't a top 6 team now, then, or if not, we can make it a top 7, but we think we can probably stick to the top 6. Who do you think is really the main man for Leicester this season? You've had to pick one player.
I mean, it's Jamie Vardy. It's Jamie Vardy, but he has been the main man for Leicester for God knows how long now. When he got injured, he had a hernia operation?
Could not tell you.
I think it was a hernia operation he had.
Probably fixing a hip at his age now.
Yeah. He had a hernia operation, and in that run, okay, they picked up a few wins, but they struggled to create goals. Obviously, James Maddison probably carried him through that run, but without Vardy, they're not really scoring as consistently as they want. They've got a decent defence. I know they've lost Fofana and Justin recently, who have been two of their incredible defence so far this season, but they've been playing extremely well in defence, and then kind of translating that on the counter attack. The midfield with Yuri Tielemans is progressing the ball nicely. Up to your creative players like Maddison, Barnes, Albrighton this season has been brilliant as well. And then Vardy, when he's in on goal, I'd say 90% of the time he scores. Yeah. So he's the key man for him. Surprising, in that run that they had when they won the league, he wasn't one of the ones that left. No, there was a few clubs sniffing around it, so he kind of showed loyalty there. But he's fantastic, and he's constantly scoring goals. I mean, we did a tier list of Premier League strikers last week, so if you've not seen that, please go and have a look at that. And we put Jamie Vardy kind of in the very good category, because he's kind of amongst the best. And I saw this argument this week: is he value for money one of the best signings the Premier League's ever made in the Premier League era?
Because I think they signed the Championship, I believe,
from Fleetwood, yeah.
So did he play in the Championship for a limited time, or did he just sign straight for the Premier League? I can't remember.
I'm not 100% sure.
Anyway, if you're getting that kind of player, I mean, I think probably what puts people off the most is people's ages. So when Vardy was bought, he was towards the 30 age, I'd say. More strikers you're looking for more now are more below the 25s. You feel like you got a loads of years out of them and probably get your money back. Well, with Leicester, didn't really care. They just wanted an out-and-out striker who would help to get a finish. I mean, we all forget that he's got the goal scoring record for the most goals consistently. I was 12 games in a row he scored, something ridiculous like that. And I'll link another recent video now about the Son and Kane we did about the Mourinho. We can check that on the channel as well. But I don't feel like they're as reliable. I don't think they are as reliant Leicester as Spurs are on Kane and Son. But as you can see already, they do struggle without Kane and Vardy. There's no menace in the box there, but will literally nibble on your ankles every 5 seconds and constantly press. And a poacher, basically. He can hit it from long range as well, as you seen from like the Liverpool game when he got like absolutely 35-yarder from that volley against Mignolet. I still remember that to that day. But he's just, like we said, he's one of those players that we said in the tiers. You just don't want to play against him. You just don't fancy him at all. He's quick as well, which doesn't help. So, I mean,
he'd be the one big pick out, but I think it'd be unfair of us to just single out Vardy. Harvey Barnes has been a massive breakthrough prospect for them over the last probably 12 months. I cannot look at Harvey Barnes and not think of that video of the equaliser one. Oh my god, I cannot see every time he scores a goal in my group chat. It's like that. But how underrated has he kind of been for them?
I mean, he's completely gone under the radar, I believe. I mean, he was only on loan at West Brom last season, I believe, and he got recalled and played a couple of games and scored. So it only proves that he doesn't need any more experience, really. I mean, he got the England squad as well, which is something above other players like James Maddison, for example.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you'll get the England squad and not being taught about the pitch is a very good player, considering all the wingers you've got as well coming up through for England as well, I think he's been an absolute revelation and probably one of the best underrated performers I reckon you can go for this season. If you have to pick anyone in the league, you thought, wow, that's a surprise package, he's probably one of those two you pick. We'll talk about James Maddison now as well. Been very instrumental once again for Leicester this season, as he was last season. Ranking him amongst England's attacking centre midfielders, would you put him as number 3, number 2, or number 1? If you had to pick.
First of all, England have got a kind of embarrassment of riches in that position. You'd say the 4 for them depends on how Southgate plays, but the 4 for that position you'd imagine from performances this season are Jack Grealish, James Maddison, Mason Mount, and Phil Foden. If I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry, but that are the main 4 that come to my head that are not like defensive minded. It's tough between these because all 4 of them have had fantastic seasons. I mean, why not take all 4? Where I rank him amongst the 4 at the moment is probably on current form. I don't know.
It's a separate video.
It's tough. That's tough. That's a tough question.
Mason Mount's been doing really well for Chelsea recently as he's come back in for Tuchel. Grealish is just
it's been
carrying Villa and Phil Foden, carrying Man City. I never thought I'd say that. So carrying Man City, and then you've got James Maddison, who's literally.
Oh, do you know what's bad? Like, I was gonna put him at the bottom because of how he's been. No, but recently he's been mint. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Let us know in the comments what you think. How would you rate them 4? Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Mason Mount, and James Maddison. Put them in a ranking of 4 for England.
If you only had to pick 3 for England, which looks like Southgate's going to have to do, which 3 would you pick?
I think he'll only pick 3.
One's got to miss out.
I think he'll only pick 3, but I don't see why he can't pick all 4.
Mount,
Well, he'll bring Mount. I think guaranteed Mount will go. And then if he's going to pick 3, it'll be between obviously them 3. I'd imagine.
Grealish and Foden's got to go. Just obviously Grealish, man, put Grealish on the wing, for example, and Foden on the wing, so he could put the middle. Anyway,
but yeah, in terms of just purely for Leicester, James Maddison this season, I think, it's come on massively. He's always been a fantastic player in my eyes, but he's lacked some kind of key moments in games for Leicester, like Grealish, for example. A good comparison could be Grealish, how he's done that for Villa towards the back end of last season and at the start of this season. He's pulled them through some important moments. I think Maddison, when Vardy was out,
lost a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, but he's carried them through a bit more of these moments, and he looks like he's improving in terms of just individual quality.
Right.
And I'm seriously impressed. But I'm seriously impressed with Leicester as a whole. But I have been for a number of years now. They've always kind of been they've never strictly been in a title race since
they won the league.
Because like last season, they were looking like they could be Liverpool's nearest competitors, and then Liverpool battered them at the King Power, and then they were out of it, and then obviously Liverpool run away with it. At the moment in time, it looks like City are going to run away with it, but them and United are still City's nearest competitors. But now they've been constantly, I think that loss to Liverpool last season, and then I think they lost directly after to City, completely knocked their confidence, and the form from that point on after Project Restart went downhill, and that's why, pretty sure I read something the other day about them winning like 4 in 15 since Project Restart. Wow. And obviously they missed out on the Champions League by 2 points on United and Chelsea. So they looked like they were guaranteed to be in top 4, and it looked like it was going to be between Chelsea and United, and then it ended up United being 3rd, Chelsea 4th, and Leicester 5th. So will a knocking confidence type of performance happen again? Obviously, we have to wait and see. But at this moment in time, they're flying.
Well, he said he just missed out on top 4 last season, and now, like you said, the title of this video, will Leicester now be in the bracket, the top 6? Decide.
Yeah, the big 6.
Who do you reckon will miss out if you say the top 6 now?
Well, at this moment in time, the big 6 is completely null and void because West Ham are in there. Villa were in there at points this season. Southampton were.
Everton.
Obviously, it starts to Everton as well. Yeah. Everton can go second if they win both the games in hand. I know. Oh no, they lost yesterday. To Fulham. Yeah.
This season's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But Arsenal are probably the main one. But it depends what you think constitutes the big 6. Is it global fan base? Is it kind of what they bring in on a match day revenue?
Stadium, it could be the stadium.
Historical.
Emirates,
because historical, obviously, the big 6 just stays how it is. But it's the debate I always have with like great players. It's like, when do you say that this player is better than this great player? When is the line? So
well, it's like we said in the tier list video. We said Harry Kane is the only great player because he never won anything.
Yeah.
But say this year Harry Kane goes on to win the Euros and then the Carabao, for example. He's not going to win the Carabao final. Yeah. Say he wins 2 finals this year, Kane. Does that automatically make him one of the greatest in Premier League history?
It depends how you classify it. Like, I'd say the big 6. I don't get because I always think if you judge it purely on historical, you've got no chance for other teams to grow. I always feel like especially with like UEFA and stuff, they like it being Barca, Madrid, Bayern. United, Bayern, always these big sides in. But then when you see emerging teams like
Atalanta,
yeah,
Shakhtar,
Monaco, Lyon last season. Who else? Who was in the semi-final last season? It was Lyon. It was
Leipzig.
Lyon, wasn't it? Yeah, Leipzig. So these emerging sides, and then they get completely raided for players. And I don't think UEFA like new teams being emerged. But if we don't move past this kind of historical context, we'll never see any sort of other clubs grow and be like it. I thought it was fun. Like, obviously, everyone thought it was fantastic Leicester winning the title that season, but that's why that achievement is so special, because it's such a one-off.
Well, you talk about teams being raided as well in that season, like you said before, mainly Vardy and Albright and Schmeichel's only a couple that really stayed. Mahrez and Kante both left.
Yeah.
You talked about the signings Leicester have made. I mean, Jamie Vardy and James Maddison both coming from the Championship. So, and then you have the signing of Yuri Tielemans, who's probably
that's a fantastic.
He's for like many past 5 years across FIFA and all these football managers you played, he's probably the highest rated youngster that you could sign in the world.
Yeah.
And Leicester got him. Leicester, a 10th place Leicester, for example, like, it's ridiculous that. I think their signing strategy has been world class since they've been in the Premier League.
Do they have the sustainability to kind of keep this running year in, year out, though?
Well, this is what we're saying. If they don't get top 4 this season, I personally reckon they may lose some of those players. With maybe not to somewhere in this league, because I do feel like maybe it's no point moving to someone else in this league. But I do feel like some of those players could go abroad. For example.
I don't know. I mean, the more established players, I think, will stay. So, like the likes of Vardy won't.
Vardy's not going to leave now.
I can't see Maddison going anywhere, and I can't see Barnes going anywhere.
I'm more thinking Tielemans, for example.
Yeah, and Fofana.
Yeah.
These kind of up and coming centre halves, and James Justin as well was fantastic. So he might be. But the Champions League football would massively impact kind of summer recruitment, and we've seen. With Arsenal kind of being the prime example, bad summer recruitment and stuff, and keeping like with the Mesut Ozil kind of situation, keeping a player like that on the books and not being able to sign a better creative midfielder, has meant that they've suffered a drop. And I mean, look, soon as I'm not saying it's a direct comparison, but soon as Ozil's now gone and they brought in Matt and Ødegaard. Although, like, obviously the drop off in quality is massive,
and also Ozil wasn't even playing as well.
Yeah,
so
it's just having kind of a more creative outlet there. Obviously, they've had Smith Rowe come through as well, and he's been brilliant. And Saka, obviously, has been brilliant for the last 12 months. But just getting players that don't want to be there off your books, and then getting players who do want to play there, no matter the drop off in quality, is always very healthy for your squad. Keeping unhappy players at your team is.
Well, Leicester don't have any of them, do they?
That's what I'm saying. There's such a squad harmony at the moment there. I mean, Maddison's interviews, they've got enough praise from the media, but they are just fantastic. It's refreshing to see him kind of just be open and just be like, look, we're not there by fluke. We're not arrogant, but we back ourselves and we work hard for each other.
Well, of course, like we said, they've beaten all the teams that are technically the top 6 sides. So, not beaten, well, they've got points at least, definitely.
I love teams that have confidence like that. Just not arrogance. Like, of course, you've got to have some sort of arrogance, but just like, you can write us off no matter what, but we will just continue playing and continue winning games until you can't write us off.
They don't play the football like Spurs, like we said, obviously we'll link a previous video again. The way Spurs play isn't entertaining to watch, but Leicester play entertaining football, as in against that Liverpool game, that Harvey Barnes goal, for example. That just came out of nowhere. There's a lot of breaks to go for playing the counter-attack and attacking football. Absolutely. It's great to watch, and I really do feel like that Brendan Rodgers is a very underrated manager. I believe personally he probably could be in the top 5 managers in the world. Obviously he didn't win the Premier League or Liverpool, which is probably the burden on him. But I do feel like with the players he's got at his disposal there and the signings, I don't know if he makes the signings himself, Brendan Rodgers, or not. But
you can't argue with the job he's done.
I can't argue at all. And I feel like before you come into that club, the burden Ranieri had in the club and the legend status Ranieri has, and to come in there and keep that going, I think it's just phenomenal personally.
No, I completely agree. We were speaking about Rodgers the other week, and I was just saying, what would make Brendan Rodgers go from a brilliant manager to an elite manager would be winning that trophy.
Or even possibly win Europa League this season, for example. They're in Europa League still. There's teams left in Europa League. Obviously, United have gone down to it as well, and there's still Arsenal left in it as well.
Like, he's won trophies with Celtic, but I'm pretty sure I could go win a trophy with Celtic. I don't want to sound like a Yadar, but you know what I mean? Like,
unlucky Neil Lennon.
True. I mean, Steven Gerrard's doing a mint job with Rangers. But he just needs to win that. Whether it's the FA Cup, could be the FA Cup. They're in the quarterfinals. If they knock out United, they'll be one of the favourites. So just winning that trophy, with Liverpool, he built a fantastic side. You had the SAS, you had the Sturridge, Suarez,
basically like the Pochettino debate. So Pochettino at Spurs never won a trophy, but we class him as one of the greatest managers. So possibly it's the same. Yeah. In the same way, personally.
It's that old thing, isn't it? If Rodgers was Spanish, would we be saying he's an elite manager now? Rather than
Brendan Rodgers,
some sort of Rodginio or something. But
quick prediction, Jordy. Quick prediction. Where Leicester gonna finish this season? I'm gonna go straight in there. I'm gonna say 3rd.
At this moment in time, they've played a lot of the top 6, and we've said previously how they kind of falter against the bottom teams.
Yeah, against the non.
I think the rest of the league are too bad to go above Leicester. I'm going to say Leicester finish
above United?
No. United 2nd with Leicester. I'm going to say 3rd as well.
Yeah. I don't think Liverpool... I don't know what's going on there. I don't think they're going to reclaim themselves from last season, Liverpool now.
No,
I think Everton are just going to be below Liverpool. Spurs are just going to be Spurs 6th again.
I still think Liverpool finished top 4, but that's an argument for another day. But let us know what you think about Leicester. We talked about doing this last week, but then we kind of said we'll wait until this weekend's run, because imagine we made this massive statement for Leicester being a top 6 side, and then they go and get absolutely battered by Liverpool. But even so, they've been fantastic this season, and they show no slides of slowing down, especially if they get Champions League football.
Gary Lineker get his pants out again.
Yeah, especially if they come on a massive comeback now and win the league. Yeah. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. We're 8 subscribers away from 50.
Yes.
It's a small milestone, but it's a milestone. Thank you so much as always for the support. Make sure you go and follow us. Twitter, TikTok, all that rubbish is in the description as always. There'll be links to the other videos we recorded last week, including one that I kind of really enjoyed talking about that's more prevalent this week. What's gone wrong with Jose Mourinho and Tottenham Hotspur after getting absolutely battered by City. Kind of highlighted how bad it is for them at the moment. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. See you later.